Hello, everyone, and welcome to this latest live episode of Vox Vomitus. I'm your host, Jennifer Ann Gordon, the author of the Japanese Box and Other Stories, Pretty Ugly, From Daylight Till Madness, and When the Sleeping Dead Still Talk. Joining me today, as always, is my Vox Vomitus vixen, Allison Martine Hubbard, author of The Bourbon Books, which includes Dibs, Since September, Move on Melinda, Climb the Salmon Ladder, and The Ranchers Take Manhattan. I did them
Well
all.
done.
I know. I'm impressed with myself every week. I know it's been years. I should know it, but every week I'm impressed with just saying all of the titles. Joining us today is one of my dear friends, amazing author, artist, diva extraordinaire, Kat Scully, author of Below the Grand Hotel. Which
Fancy.
fancy, which is
Fancy.
a fancy cover, fancy. Kat and I are fancy. Allison's fancy. We've all got
Mm.
some like striking lipstick going on. Kat will explain why we're dressed like this and have such like nighttime makeup on during the day. But welcome to Vox Vomitus, Kat. You have been here once before as part of a whole group of ladies. Today, you are solo. We are celebrating you. Tell our viewers and listeners a little bit about you and then a little bit about this beautiful book.
So this is 1920s The Great Gatsby meets Hellraiser. And the pitch is a pickpocket picks the wrong pocket, loses her soul to a hotel run by demons, and now she has to steal her soul back before she becomes a demon herself forever. Yeah, that's basically the book. It's a whole vibe.
It is a whole vibe.
And the horns, because I was going to say, you introduced her as diva, but I was waiting for you to say demon, because you got
A diva demon
there. I have
no, I didn't want to
horns.
spoil anything. I love that you have everything right now. You definitely look like a performer slash who might be losing her humanity in the best possible way.
Kat, are you a Gibson girl or one of Ziegfeld's girls? I mean, like, I don't know if I'm kind of more of like a little raisin girl. I don't really know where
I've got too many curves to be anything but a Gibson girl.
Yeah, I think so. I don't have enough
after my body type because I'm mid-sized. I'm somewhere between like plus size and quote unquote regular size. And
what does that even mean?
Everybody's a regular size. So and
no, I loved that your main character's body, she describes herself as a Gibson girl because I'm like, oh, like you, I'm like, I saw myself in her. And I think a lot of times with, any kind of book, we get these heroines that are described in these ways that we're like, oh, really? You're 5'10" and you're 120 pounds. And you're like, I'm like, who's that? I'm 5'2" and like rounder.
I think my mom could have been one of the Ziegfeld girls because I always used to yell at her because she was very much Twiggy. I didn't get her height or her build or the blonde hair and blue eyes, so I might be adopted and she just lied to me her entire life. But she could have been one of the Follies girls, and she had the legs for it. But she wouldn't be the Gibson girl because she doesn't have the curves. And I didn't get somehow either, unless a curve is just a circle. Is that one? This one.
Yeah.
It's A-shape.
I will say, I have to ask Kat, when did you like kind of become a sucker for the 1920s? How did you figure out you wanted to set a book there? Did you love the 20s first and then it just like rolled over into this, or
prior life, like want to revisit that? Whatever works.
Exactly. I just love
So this book came from two things. I was on the Dragon Con alternate history track and they were like, we need more people to be panelists for Miss Fisher's murder mystery series. And I was like, okay, I'll do it. And because I hate saying no. So I said, I'll do this. And I binge watched all of it and all the movies. And I watched all of it to prepare for that panel. And I went, why aren't there more 1920s horror stories? Like, I love historical horror. I love books by like Alma Katsu. So I was going, why aren't there more? And I know Victor Laval did the chapbook, or not chapbook, I'm so sorry. It's a novella. with Tor. And I thought, why not more? Like, why aren't there whole books? And so the idea was planted. And then during the pandemic, I was watching The Great Gatsby by Baz Luhrmann over and over. It was one of my comfort films.
Yeah.
And
As you do.
also working in video game development, and I was working not just in the user interface, which is your heads-up display, health bar, magic bar. I also got a chance to take a crack at level design. Ooh. And I worked on the intro level. And then the whole thing kind of started to form because I had tried out a short story version of this for Sam Gafford. He was one of the editors on Occult Detective Quarterly and was starting a new magazine, and he bought this as a short story. And the short story was the first 2 chapters. Like okay. That was it. That's where it ended, was where Mabel loses her soul. And
spoiler alert, that happens early.
Very good spoiler. So this chapter 2, and you know that's the premise, she loses her soul. Yeah. But my agent went, this needs to be a full book. When the magazine folded, Sam Gafford unfortunately passed away, and I was like, yeah, I think this needs to be a whole book, but I don't know how to structure it. And then I learned a lot from game development. And a lot of my team had come from Bioshock and Bioshock Infinite, and I have played those games maybe 20 times, and I knew the layouts by heart. And I was like, I think I want to do it like Bioshock. I think I want to do it like Rapture, but how would I do my own hotel? And then the whole structure of how she travels through it became like a level designer designing the hotel.
I love that.
Fights, and there's how you progress and what you need, what puzzles to solve. And so this is in a way a game in book form that I hope one day
I told my partner
book in game form.
I told my partner this like 2 nights ago. So as you know, as some people know, I'm a ballroom dancer. Pre-pandemic, I did a hell of a lot of 1920s events, parties, weekends, balls. A lot of the 1920s events I went to always had like a ghost hunt aspect to it too. So I'm like, I love that you were like, there should be more horror in the 1920s. That being said, my husband loves the 20s. He loves horror. So we were kind of chatting about your book a little, even though he hasn't read it. And I said, it reads like a video game in the best way. Like the part when they're spoiler alert, there's eventually a map of the hotel that people have to kind of look at. Yep. The second that came out, I was like, oh my gosh. And like describing the hotel, the levels, everything they would have to go through. I was just like, hell yeah. Well, I knew that would make it like so bingeable.
Well, and I want to tell my husband that, because your husband actually does read. Mine is like, what are words, even though he teaches writing. So
I was going to say, he's a writing teacher.
I'm like, he teaches writing, and yet he rarely reads. But he is such the gamer. And we've always kind of had this thing about like, well, games are a valid thing and they're amazing, but the way you tell a story in a game is a little different than how you do it. They're not exactly the same. So getting him to read a book by telling him it's written by, someone who's done game design and has designed it that way might be enough to actually get him to crack open the spine and try that. But I might actually still have to have you design it as a game and just let him play it, because I'm not sure I can get him to read words.
I already did a pitch for it as a game.
I was going to ask, I'm like, this should be a game. And also, yeah. My question is like, when is this going to be a video game? You probably can't tell us.
I did talk to a studio. I'm talking to the head of it tomorrow. That's all I can say.
Okay. I love that. I love that so much. Do you, because I know you're, in addition to being a writer, you are a very well-accomplished artist. I own a piece of your work. I love it. You do amazing work. You also do, graphic design and video production and everything like that. But you also do maps. Do you personally have a map of the interior of the Grand Hotel?
Yeah. So like when I was coming up with the pitch deck for Below the Grand Hotel, the game, it was because I was trying to find a job in game development, and I'm back on the market looking for a job again. And I have this pitch that's the first level, the maps and the concept art and the character art and the interior like a lookbook basically of what I think this game would be, and then the 3 pillars of how you would play it. And I remember I sat down with my old boss, Bill, who was the lead level designer on Bioshock, on a couple of the levels, and showed him a map of top to bottom. This is the hotel. This is exactly what it looks like. I have it in my head. I had it for reference, but I just didn't draw it for the book because it would have been massive spoilers about everything. So when I've done maps for books, it's usually been Lord of the Rings, Game of Thrones, fantasy, or I've done a science fiction one where it's a star map or planets, or I've done one that was a Colosseum in the style of Jumanji. That was one of the coolest maps. It's for a middle grade author, and it's for a book called The Gauntlet. That was awesome. So I've been asked to do all kinds of maps. So the closest I've done was the Gauntlet map, where it had different tiers and levels of things that they had to fight inside this Colosseum, like a Rome kind of Colosseum. And I had that for this book, but it would be like, if you knew, you know,
there's things revealed as you go that you would only be able to like do parts of the map. Like, here's all you're allowed to see right now. Enjoy the front doorway. Like, that's what you can do. Like, okay, now you can go over to the dining room, but that's it.
Yeah, exactly. So when I did the pitch, it shows just like a slice of the main floor, like Raymond, where the concierge works, and then the dining area, and then the elevator that Mabel goes to on the first time, and then also the back rooms that you go to in the midway to the end of the book to get to the lower levels. It shows that. So I was already thinking like level designer, this is the entire layout.
Well, and I'm not nearly the gamer that my husband is, but there is a certain aspect to it, and I won't say specifically where, because people can travel, but only by permission and certain things, that is very much a game thing where it's like, oh, I don't have enough whatever it is to cross this part yet, but I know now that when I get enough of whatever this is, I can go through here to get to what I need to do. Like, one of my favorites, Devil May Cry, like that totally has a gorgeous design and all of that, and certain parts you can't get to, and then you can also fast travel by doing like, okay, now that you've done certain things, you can skip from point to point, and all of those things are like little Easter eggs for gamers in your book. But like it isn't so obvious that it's distracting, because until you said that, it didn't occur to me. But then once it's like the eyes, the glass shatters, oh yes, now I see it. But it reads like a book, so nobody think like, oh, this is a choose your own adventure. It's not.
It's not choose your own adventure.
It's not choose
it's one path, but if I were to structure it as a game, I know exactly how I would open it up. Like, and I also love like dungeon crawler type of games. I love Hades. So that kind of style would definitely lend itself to this, or you're going from level to level to level down, facing different demons, and then also biblically accurate angels. That was my favorite part of the book.
Yes.
Love that. Did knowing the structure of the levels of this hotel help you in writing it? Like, are you a pantser? Did you already know the end? Because I feel like just knowing where to go, I'm like, wow, that would really help me as a writer.
But seriously, she's the new kind of writer. There's planners, then there's pantsers, and she's a mapper. Like that's
a mapper.
Level up, literally.
She's a cartographer.
That's pretty much how I do all of my books. Is I map out, and I will sit with a whiteboard and be like, where is everyone? Because my next book, it takes place in 3 parks in 3 different states, but it's all the same park, and they're traveling in and out of each other's parks. So I sit there with a map going who is where and through what door. And that's how I structure my whole book.
Like, how big of a space does this take up? Like, I'm picturing like an entire wall.
Yeah, I was going to say, did you just, I mean, I know they have blackboard paint, so you can do a whole wall as a blackboard. Is there whiteboard paint? And no one's shown me, because I don't know how that would work. And Alyssa Alessi is just laughing at us and going, LOL. And I don't know if it's a photographer or because she's seen your whiteboard. I have no idea. I don't know if this
Alyssa, it's pretty standard. It's like this big. And I just, map out like by acts. So I do the 7-point plot method, and I go, and where are they at what part, like the darkest night of the soul, where's everybody? And I do literally map it out. And in this case, it was levels of the hotel, and it was easier because the new book is 3 POV. This one was thankfully 1, so we're just dealing with Mabel going up the hotel and then down the hotel. And that made it so much easier, being that the hotel is just structurally up and down in this case, because the hotel I based this off of is sprawling.
Ooh.
It's very wide. It's not very tall.
Ooh.
So
what hotel did you base
Did you went
the Grand Ole Opry in Nashville?
Oh.
Yeah, so like the dining area where it says tropical lush jungle is based off of the Grand Ole Opry, because my dad traveled a lot when I was a kid. He was an engineer and he had his own company, and that was one of the places that we went. And I went inside this hotel, and there was a waterfall and a tropical jungle, and there were these balconies overlooking this lush interior. I had never seen a hotel like that. So it was
it still like that? Because I want to go.
Yeah.
I know. I'm like, I've never seen a hotel like that.
While I was writing the book, I went there with two of my friends. We were all staying in Nashville. My friend Erica Waters, who's also an author, writes amazing horror books. They've done YA, but I think they're branching into adult now, which is awesome. We went down there to visit Erica, and I said, we got to go buy this hotel. This is what I'm writing about right now. And we went on a tour. Like, we just took ourselves a little tour, and I showed everybody what I was thinking for the book and what I was writing, because both my friends Kayla and Erica had read it. And so it was such a fun, magical writing trip. And I took a lot of videos. So I think at some point soon I want to release a video series of what I did to inspire the book.
I love that.
I love how Jennifer's immediately, and then you can write it off.
And then you can write it off.
Deduction right there. Work trip.
But I never do that for my own trips.
I know.
Like, because I never think in advance, like, I want to write something set here. Maybe I should go visit. No, it's always like something I visited 10 years ago. So I have to be like, it's horror. It doesn't matter if it's not factually the same.
I'm like, how long after you were in Italy did you write Pretty Ugly and be like, this is totally a retroactive write-off? Is that a thing? I don't think that's a thing. I'm not a tax person.
I think Pretty Ugly was like 5 years after I was in Italy.
IRS is not giving your money back for that. Sorry, one.
So you mentioned YA when you were talking about Erica, and I feel like we need to ask, you are a YA writer as well. You have a series, Jennifer Strange, not about me.
Are you sure?
Not about me as a kid. Definitely not. But what made you do the big switch from YA to the beautiful gore-filled Below the Grand Hotel?
2 reasons. One, I'm gross.
Yeah.
And I was pretty brutal for a YA book. Although YA books they can be pretty brutal. Like Clown in the Cornfield had some great kills.
Right?
Same with Amy Lukovic's Daughters and the Devils. So some of them are pretty hard hitting. Honestly, one of the scariest age groups to me is middle grade horror. Like those friends are extra, and I love them for it. Like Alyssa Alessi, I don't know if she's still listening. She knows what I mean. But
Alyssa's completely normal.
Oh yeah, she's one of us. She's absolutely one of us. We're all gross. And I wanted to write kind of in that upper like age group, because a lot of my friends are writing in it too, and I got a lot of encouragement from like James A. Moore before he passed, Charles Rutledge. Like, you got to join us. Like, come sit at the big kids table was basically what they kept telling me. You've got the chops for it, but I needed to believe in myself that I could do it. I had been in the YA space for so long. I was like, I don't know if I could do adult. But when I wrote this, I was like, I kind of like this space where it is in a way new adult, where it's like the younger adult and they're out of their teenage years and they're just coming into what it means to be an adult. So I found that same kind of like fresh voice and like
like the frontal lobe is not completely finished for
it's not completely finished yet. So I did read some of the reviews and they were like, this sounds like it could have been YA, and I'm like, yeah, it could have been. I think it's kind of a crossover because she's like 19 and she's not a teenager
19
anymore,
in 1925
you're a
grown up.
You could have come back from war by then, you know? Like, you could have come back already,
you're like getting married off, already having 1 to 2 children.
You have 4 by then.
Taking care of a farm. Like 19 now, you're just like...
You're a baby.
You're a
You're a
baby.
baby.
Yeah,
But
and
it
it's
would have
little
been like
tiny
29. That would be the equivalent now. It's like you're
it
20.
is. Yeah,
You've
and
had some world experience and you're almost 30. You're like, I'm about to hit, like, I gotta take care of myself. I'm on my own. I gotta.
Yeah.
19.
I'm still thinking that, and it's like I'm in my 40s. I'm like, I
Yeah,
gotta take care of myself. I'm a grown up now.
sure you are. And
Kinda.
Alyssa says that's an extremely good point. 19 was grown. And it is funny because like I was going to ask because I have two children who fit in the YA middle grade-ish range. And it's hard to really even know like where to steer them for reading because like you said, so I just last week was working the Scholastic Book Fair and Jennifer's like, send me the pictures of the horror books because last year I sent her a couple that she wanted. And this time I forgot to bring cash with me because I did e-wallets for my kids. And they have some scary stuff there. And yet they also have like
when I read the synopsis of doll parts, I was like,
she's like, yeah, horrible.
Yeah.
And my kids aren't super really into horror. My eldest, like she's the little specialist, fragilist snowflake. So like she got scared. Well, she gets scared of everything. Like I haven't shown her most of the 80s movies because we saw what the 80s movies were like and everybody dies and like we're still sad about Never Ending Story. And so she'll never watch that. But that whole age group is like, so you're right. Like this could be kind of YA, but 19 was grown. And then some of these younger ones still have horror in them. Like I got Clown in a Cornfield from my library last year as the YA book choice giveaway when I completed my summer reading. And I'm like, wait, why is this on the YA shelf? I'm like, because apparently it's YA. And I didn't know that. It was already on my TBR, but I had no idea that book would have been YA. I'm like, are there restrictions on how horrific we can be? And the answer is no. So
no, I mean, there's very little difference. It's mostly just the ages. And then like readers sometimes will give feedback and it's usually parents giving feedback. This is too much for
this is too much for my 14-year-old.
Great, you know, because I worked in the YA section at Barnes and Noble for a while. Like and that's been on my bucket list is like to see my book in Barnes and Noble. And I found that my local one just got copies in that I'm going to go sign. So it's exciting. I get to check off that bucket list.
That is very exciting.
That is the
book. But yeah, YA got to be hard and complicated to get into. And the market definitely like had so many people doing it that I think I'm going to have better luck writing adult. And I found I loved it and enjoyed it. And I just couldn't stop writing more adult horror. So I'm super happy with the switch. Like I probably will come back to YA at some point, but right now I'm super happy in this space and it's great to be among friends and other people writing in this age group and we're all telling our fun, gross stories.
I love it.
Like training wheels are off and nobody know because my little child got swept. Like I'd let mine read more, but she's too easily scared. I'm like, come on. She's like, like she noped out of the first episode of Lost and then was like, wait, okay, I'll try it again because her little sister wanted to watch. That's what I'm doing.
She's
like,
just showing
watch
off.
good stuff with me.
Yeah.
Kat, before I forget, I am wearing this bracelet special.
Ooh.
For people who are just listening
Is
it?
Yeah, it's a snake.
I want to pet it.
Yeah, it's a snake. I could move this and it would be eating its own tail, which isn't a spoiler, but it is like a beautiful there is great jewelry in this book.
That's the purpose.
We need like a jewelry fiction section. Like I have my own stuff on Goodreads where it's really kind of like this has a lot of food in it. That's a whole shelf, like culinary fiction. So we need to have like fashion fiction and jewelry fiction because the jewelry is a main character here. And I'm very sad that my art copy didn't come with the canary. I thought I'd get one.
I know.
The diamond.
I wish.
I was like looking through my jewelry box. I'm like, do I have a large yellow diamond?
No!
I did look into that as swag for the book, like special swag. I find like a canary diamond, like giveaway kind of thing. And what I describe in the book is the biggest diamond Mabel has ever seen. And the reason that she breaks her one rule, which is don't steal from hotels. She's like, but if I had that beautiful big yellow diamond, I could convince Ziegfeld to make me his star leading lady.
Yeah.
And she breaks her rule, and thus the rest of the book follows. But I wish I found something even to just like wear for the book events, because that would have been so cool, like a cool detail. And all the jewelry in my books, like if you've read Jennifer Strange and Below the Grand Hotel, all the jewelry is a character. And Jennifer Strange, it was all the different stones, specifically an obsidian necklace. And then in Below the Grand Hotel, it's the yellow canary diamond and the bracelet like Jennifer's wearing. It's a snake bracelet that's for protection. And it protects its wearer and will attack anyone who attacks you. And so I love stuff like that. Jewelry that has a purpose, and it's like, it has a purpose to be beautiful and sparkly and to like make a statement with its wearer. But then I also like that it can kill people. So
yeah, as they do.
Yeah.
I mean,
I also loved
stiletto. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, like in the like visuals and aesthetic of it, I loved the mouths, your second mouths, and I was like, oh, did Kat get like temporary tattoos that you could?
Oh my god! I did the launch party to paint this big like thing right here, and I wanted to do teeth sticking out, but then I remembered I'm allergic to latex and couldn't do the teeth.
Squash on that.
And there were things I was totally thinking of doing that, but it didn't come to pass. And the whole second mouths thing came up very randomly. Like, this isn't a spoiler because it's chapter 2, but there's a character who Mabel thinks is about to have a petting party with her. And a petting party.
I love that phrase.
A great phrase from the 20s about we're gonna like get it on and make out and like
petting party.
Maybe the sex, or we're not sure. But usually would. And this guy is coming on to her in chapter 2 and he's unbuttoning his shirt and she thinks, oh, it's a petting party. Well, I better grab the diamond and scram. But he's actually unbuttoning to reveal his second mouth. And all demons in my book have a second mouth in a different place. And it has to feed. And so I loved that. And it really just came from, again, I was like thinking, all right, he's unbuttoning his shirt. How can I make this weird? How can I be gross right now? And I'm like, oh, and it ended up being, from what I've heard, everyone's favorite part of the book is like, these are demons that I've not really seen like this before. Like some have them in their hands.
I love that.
Collarbone.
That was very Pan's Labyrinth with the eyes instead. It's hands, mouths. Like that's even worse.
Oh my god, Pan's Labyrinth is one of my top 5 favorite movies. So Mabel gets them in her hands, and Will is the worst one because his grows like, and then he hasn't been feeding it. So I show the effects of like what happens when you don't let your second mouth eat, and he doesn't want to kill anybody anymore, and it's just like shriveled and the lips are cracked, and
it takes being hangry to a whole new level.
Give that demon a Snickers.
I know.
When he's hungry.
I'm like, that's how I feel when I need a snack.
Yeah.
I hope I don't look like that.
Yeah, it's very Feed Me Seymour coded.
Yes, it is Feed Me Seymour. Oh my gosh. Oh, so what are you working on now? You said, but I mean, you have the big world, the 3 map piece. Is there, because I know you also do short stories. Are you going to be in any anthologies coming up? I feel like you're going to be in a couple good ones. That's why I'm like
already clapping. Let her answer.
I have so much to talk about. Okay, so we'll start with the short story. I'm in Hotelaphants, which is coming out in October, and I did work out kind of a tie-in to Below the Grand Hotel. There is a character that shows up at Hotel Ethel. That's the hotel in Hotelaphants. And there's also the introduction of a character I am definitely writing about. He is my cowboy vampire.
Oh, hot.
And he is a bartender.
Even hotter.
His whole thing is a drink for a drink.
Oh.
I see what you did there.
Yeah. And
I love that.
I love this story because I answered this question I've always wanted to see, and I've never done vampires before. That's been my bucket list for forever. I love vampires. I read tons of vampire fiction, and I was like, eventually I will do a vampire thing. And I wanted to answer the question, what happens when a vampire eats someone supernatural? I wanted to know and have my own answer for that, because that has been done, but I'm like, I have an idea for this, and I'm going to do this in the short story. And it was so much fun to write. Now I'm like, I got to do a whole book with this guy, because he has like an ex warlock boyfriend and they fight it out, and it's just so
Yes,
good.
100%.
Keep
I
going,
do
keep
want
going.
that. Yeah, yeah.
I need more cowboy
Keep
vampire
going.
bartender. And I think it's because, so to speak about what I'm doing next, I have 2 books coming up next. There's Mercy Park, which is done. That's the one I mentioned earlier. That's in a public park. It's about a god of fear. It can become whatever you fear most. That is about to go on sub. So I'm very excited about that. And the one that I'm writing fresh, new from scratch is going to be set in Salem. And it is about witches.
As
And
you
it's
do.
I
horror.
secretly already know about this one, so I'm like,
I don't. Go ahead.
Yes. It's like 3 sisters, and it's a bit of practical magic vibes, a lot of Beetlejuice vibes. So it's going to be really fun. I've spent the past 2 years reading romance novels to get this right, because I want to do
That's
like how
commitment.
the Grand Hotel was like, all right, it's horror, yes, but a lot of people were like, oh wait, it's also gothic. I'm like, yes, it's gothic romance and horror and fantasy, because I wanted to be kind of this gateway to go into horror. So I didn't want to be as gruesome as I could be, so that they go, oh, maybe I want to try something else in this genre, because I really liked Below the Grand Hotel. And now I'm doing it again with the Salem Witches book. And I want it to be starting out where you think it's like a cozy rom-com romance. And then it's horror.
Oops.
Oops. Oh no. And I'm very excited, because I love doing Ghosts of Jennifer Strange, and I'll be going back to Ghosts again. I think there will be a different vampire in this one. But yeah, it's going to have a myriad of supernatural creatures in it too, that just live in Salem, because of course they do.
What were your lessons from reading all that romance? Like, besides probably needing to watch some Hallmark Channel to get all that vibe and all the little hearts and cocoa.
The number one thing I learned,
did you do
not write off the
every
genre.
romance?
Like,
don't write off the genre.
Don't write off a genre, because I really didn't think I'd ever like romance. I was like, I like horror, I like dark fantasy. I tried reading romance and was like, this is not for me. But I didn't realize there was more now. There's so much more now.
Yeah.
Like, and there's something for everybody. Same with horror. Like, a lot of people will write off horror and be like, I don't want to read this because I don't like gross things, or I get scared really easy. And I always say back, like, I don't do zombies. I don't like the idea of my loved ones eating me. I just can't do zombie movies. I can't do zombie plots. I have a hard time with The Last of Us. Like, I'm still trying to get through it though, because it's so good.
But
everyone has their limits and their thing. So I think with romance, I had to find my thing. And then once I did, I was like, I didn't realize there were witchy romances. I didn't realize there was all of this like group of things that I liked. And I like queer romances. I realized if it gets too cozy and too sweet, I'm like, okay, that's probably not for me, because it's way too swinging in the other direction of like saccharine. And sometimes you just need that cozy, like, I just need the comfort vibes right now. And
exactly,
I love that. Like, I love that there is something for everybody with where you're at. So the number one thing I learned is that there is a formula, much like horror, and it's a genre that has so many options that it's probably impossible to find one that you don't at least like or enjoy. Like, maybe it's historical, maybe it's hockey, maybe it's
historical to hockey.
Hockey. Which I'm super into. Like, please, more gay cowboys. So, like, you gotta find your thing.
Yes. And I think with romance is like, it's something that almost everybody can relate to, whether you're, queer, whether you're straight, whatever, whether you've never found love, where you never want to find love, if you've gotten your heart broken. I mean, all of that is in romance novels, and you're never more vulnerable than when you're like falling in love. Like, that's horror right there. Like,
there's a crossover.
There's and it's people be like, oh, I didn't read any horror in this. It was just straight romance. And I'm like, I know.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think a lot of us grew up thinking that romance was monolithic, myself included. And I joke, I was a speculative writer that tripped and fell in the hot tub, and now I write contemporary romance also. And again, even then, me trying to read that, so you and I would have to compare notes about what you read, and we're like, these are the ones that I like. Yes, keep going, keep going. I want to keep reading these, and others are like, this is definitely not for me. But all those different subgenres really make it a huge thing too, to be able to go, okay, I want to just be reading this month nothing but queer romance, and that's what I want to be reading. And stories that involve trans characters. There's so much more out there than just, yep, it's the bodice ripper with Fabio on the cover, because I don't want to read those. So, yeah.
I mean, that's exactly what I always thought romance was when I was a kid, because that's all I saw.
Had. That's what our moms were reading.
Yeah.
And we didn't want it. So
I know. I'm like, I don't want that.
No, generally not.
Generally not. So, Kat, I love that. I'm excited about your next projects. Witchy, also Public Park. Excited about Hotel of Haunts for you, because now I'm going to be obsessed with your queer cowboy vampire.
He needs like a whole series. I'm serious. I just want to spend all my
time.
time.
I know. I'm like, that would be a great place to spend a lot of time.
Yeah. And his whole world, because it's definitely lots of other supernatural characters. And I like exploring what happens to him when he writes different ones, and his relationships, because he's pan like me. So I want to see where he's going to go with everything. And I wrote his short story in a hurry. I was trying to get it out. I had been through several copy edit rounds, and I'm really happy with what came out for writing it so quickly and trying to get it out, because I was also auditioning for IP. It was a crazy time. So
yeah.
I just was like, oh, I only got to spend one slice with him. It's got to be more. It's got to.
Now
and
you want the whole
cake about this, and we're like, yes.
yes. But we have a lot to look forward to from you. Everyone, make sure you pick up a copy of. I'm trying to not get the glare of Below the Grand Hotel. Kat, Scully.
I love the red splotch, by the way. For people who can't see this and are just listening, it's this gorgeous black and gold cover. And when I was doing the graphic for the show, and I was doing, I'm like, wait, is that on my that's not a splotch on my computer. That's on the cover. That's blood.
Yeah, that was an addition. Clash was so nice to add, because I asked for, can you do the Baz Luhrmann Great Gatsby opener where the gold opens on his ring, his daisy ring? And I love that opener for the movie. And I was like, can we do that for the doors to the hotel, that they look like that kind of Art Deco? And he did that first try.
Nice.
And all it was missing was the blood. And they're like, it needs something. And I'm like, it needs blood.
And
they were like, okay, yeah. And they sent it back, and that was perfect. That was the cover. It was the fastest process.
And
that's amazing.
It's perfect.
It's perfect. It's beautiful. Kat, thank you. Everybody who's watching this live or on the replay, check out Kat's website, katherinescully.com. Pick up the Grand Hotel. And we will be back, Allison, we will be back next Wednesday, correct?
I'm
Wednesday?
I know we're having Sarah Lankin come on, and I think
it's Sarah Lankin.
I think June is next week.
It is next week.
It is next
I know.
June.
I really wanted to ask you. I'm like, is June next week? Because we have Sarah Lankin on.
We are coming up on the end of the school year, and in my head, it's all just this mush. But Sarah comes before the cascade of chaos, so we're perfect. Good.
So next week, I believe Wednesday at 2 p.m., Sarah Lankin will be here. It will be her third appearance on the show, and I'm very excited. Until then, everybody, have a great week.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.